In the 1970s, if you wanted a cup of coffee, you usually found it at a local diner. It was 50 cents, it came in a thick ceramic mug, and it was likely burnt or sitting on a heating plate for hours. Back then, coffee was a basic commodity, like flour, salt, or sugar. It was a utility, a quick caffeine hit to get you through the morning. Fast forward to today, and millions of people walk around with a green siren clutched in their hand, happily paying $6, $7, or even $8 for a single latte. How did a drink that costs pennies to brew at home become a global status symbol? How did one company convince the world that coffee isn't just a drink, but a third place, a vital destination between work and home? The story of Starbucks isn't just about caffeine. It's about a life-changing trip to Italy, a controversial logo, and a psychological masterclass in branding. Today, we're uncovering the story of how a small bean shop in Seattle changed the way the world drinks, and what we're actually paying for when we buy that venti latte. Our story starts in 1971, in the rainy cobblestone streets of Seattle's Pike Place Market. But the Starbucks you know today would be unrecognizable back then. It was founded by three friends: Jerry Baldwin, an English teacher, Zev Siegel, a history teacher, and Gordon Bowker, a writer. Here's the first big surprise. They didn't even sell brewed coffee. In the beginning, Starbucks didn't have tables, chairs, or Wi-Fi. They only sold high-quality roasted whole beans and coffee-making equipment. They were purists. They were inspired by Alfred Peet, the founder of Peet's Coffee, who had introduced them to the art of dark roasting. They wanted to teach Americans how to appreciate gourmet coffee at home, away from the watery, instant coffee that dominated the market. Even the name was a literary choice. They almost called the company Pequod, after the ship in Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Thankfully, they realized a cup of Pequod didn't sound very appetizing, so they settled on the name of the ship's first mate, Starbucks. And then there was the logo. The original siren wasn't the clean green icon we see on every street corner today. She was a brown, detailed, and frankly, quite twin-tailed mermaid from a 16th century Norse woodcut. She was meant to be as seductive and mysterious as the coffee itself, luring sailors and customers into the shop. For a decade, Starbucks was a niche, local success. It was a shop for coffee nerds. It stayed that way until 1981, when a man named Howard Schultz walked through the door. Howard Schultz was a salesman from New York who worked for a Swedish housewares company. He was fascinated by why this tiny Seattle shop was ordering so many plastic cone filters. When he visited, he fell in love with the passion of the founders and eventually joined the company as the head of marketing. But the real eureka moment didn't happen in Seattle. It happened in 1983, when Schultz traveled to Milan, Italy, to attend an international housewares show. Walking through the streets of Milan, he saw something that simply didn't exist in America. Every block had an espresso bar. These weren't just fast food joints. They were the heart of the community. Schultz watched in awe as baristas, called maestros, greeted customers by name. People stood at the counter, chatting and laughing while sipping tiny cups of espresso. Schultz realized that the Italian coffee bar wasn't just about the caffeine. It was about the theater of the barista and the sense of belonging. He realized that Americans were missing what sociologists call the third place. You have your first place, your home. You have your second place, your work. But Americans lacked a comfortable, communal space in between. Schultz flew back to Seattle, desperate to turn Starbucks from a bean retailer into a chain of Italian-style cafes where people could linger. He pitched the idea to the founders, but they rejected it. They told him, "We're bean roasters, not restaurant owners." They didn't want to get into the beverage business. Frustrated, Schultz left Starbucks to start his own coffee house called Il Giornale. It was a massive hit. Just a few years later, in 1987, the original founders decided to sell Starbucks, and Schultz raised the capital to buy them out for $3.8 million. Once Schultz took control, he merged the companies and began a relentless expansion. But to make his vision work, he had to standardize the experience so that a latte in Chicago tasted exactly like a latte in Seattle. This is where the branding genius kicked in. Schultz introduced the tall, grande, and vento vocabulary, a pseudo-Italian language that made the customer feel like they were part of an exclusive club. He focused on the sensory details to justify the premium price. He famously banned smoking in all stores to protect the aroma of the coffee. He even banned flavored beans for a long time. The shops were designed with warm colors, soft lighting, and round tables. Why round tables? Because they are more welcoming for solo customers. There's no empty seat at a round table, making you feel less lonely if you're working on your laptop. By the 1990s, Starbucks was opening a new store every single day. They weren't just selling coffee, they were selling a premium lifestyle. They moved the barista to the center of the store, making the act of preparing your drink a performance. They gave people a reason to stay, providing free Wi-Fi and comfortable armchairs long before it was standard. They successfully decoupled the price of coffee from the cost of the beans. You weren't paying for the liquid, you were paying for the third place. Today, there are over 35,000 Starbucks locations worldwide. Whether you love them or hate them, they transformed coffee from a 50-cent commodity into an affordable luxury. They proved that if you create an experience, people will pay a premium for it. Next time you see that green siren, remember you're not just buying a drink. You're buying a piece of Howard Schultz's Italian dream, reimagined in Seattle and scaled for the entire world. It's the third place we never knew we needed. If you enjoyed this look behind the counter, hit the like button and subscribe for more hidden stories behind the brands you use every day. And tell us in the comments, what's your go-to Starbucks order? We'll see you in the next episode.